Okay, so today is the second day of cleaning up the boat, and I would say boat work, but it is just cleaning up the boat. Yeah, it's dark down here. This is gonna be near impossible to do any decent work. I'm gonna have to figure out a light. Okay, so I got my little lights on, and they're not that bad actually. You see them there, right? Well, I'm gonna remove this door and then the next one into the V-berth. It'll just make it easier to flow through. I want to start cleaning the V-berth and the area for the head and this storage space next to it. So just having the doors out of there is going to give me a lot more freedom of movement. Okay, so that's a little bit better. There's a couple more things that I want to remove from inside. This loose piece of trim down, I don't know if you can see it down at the bottom there. I'm gonna pull that out. I'm actually gonna build in some cabinets underneath there eventually. So there's a small sink, you can see that in here, and hand pumping the head. The head itself is already out. Wasn't in here when I bought the boat, but I don't want the sink in there. To me, there's no reason to have a sink in there. Just another spot where water can leak into the cabin, another maintenance point, and one sink is enough in a small space like this. You'll just optimize that space, and it's going to free up that area entirely. Okay, so we will continue. Okay, so getting through the jobs, I've got this piece of plywood in the storage locker here, and it is difficult to remove. And I've discovered that the bottom is actually fiberglassed in place. Just one piece of fiberglass tape it looks, but I'm gonna need to cut that out, and I don't have anything to cut with. I have a chisel, so maybe I can just chisel a line across. It's only, you know, a foot wide thereabouts, so very tight in here as well. So I'm surprised. The plywood, well, the space is tight in here, but the plywood is solid. I actually have to be careful. I was prying on it. I was kicking it, and I stopped, and I realized that the boat was shaking a little on the cradle. So definitely need to be careful of that. Don't kick too hard. Chiseled, but it ended up just tearing away anyway, but that's okay. Most of it's out. I will just continue working and pull out the rest of it. So these screws, they go through from the other side, but on the other side is the veneer. But that's okay. What I'll do is I will get the cutting disc for the grinder, and then I'll just snip those off. And until then, I'll just be extra careful that I don't bump into them. They're in a small space, so it should be all right. And yeah, making some progress today. Okay, so chisel method worked. Chiseled that last piece out, and you know, I chiseled away any high sharp edge, but later I'll run the sander on there I'm gonna clean up the floors, so when I'm doing that I'll run the sander with some 80 grit, smooth it out a bit, and later on I plan to repaint all of the interior of the cabin, so should be relatively clean when it's all done, and then I can build in some shelves into here. Might pull out this back piece as well. Up in the V-berth now, and I'm gonna start cleaning the walls. I've got some things in here now, storage, but that's okay, I can just move them from one side to the other. I've got myself a bucket, and I've got myself some vinegar, and I'm just gonna wipe down the walls with vinegar and do that first. I wanted to use cleaning vinegar, but I don't know if cleaning vinegar is any different from distilled white vinegar, and I couldn't find any cleaning vinegar, so this is what I got. Making me hungry for fish and chips. Okay, so last night I removed these screens and brought them back to my Airbnb to replace them. The old screens were metal and were tearing and just filthy worn out, 60 years old. So I have some new screen and put them in place. It was a simple process. What I did was I just tore out the old screen, then cleaned them up. I washed the frames and the sink. From there I simply cut the new screens to the proper shape. I used some Loctite Extreme glue, I think it's called, and just glued them in place. The glue sets up pretty quickly. I used the glue tube and just added some coins inside the screen to kind of just add a little bit of weight inside. After about a minute, I pushed down on the edges just to make sure the screen was all the way pressed down. And yeah, after a few minutes it was done and I could move on to the next one. So here we have it, new screens, and I think they will look pretty good. Allow me to have some fresh air in the cabin. So, and then I will be able to drop down my glass and close them up again. And that's it. Okay, well, finished cleaning the starboard side. Huge improvement. Same as the other side, there's stains, and there's areas, like I mentioned before, where they didn't paint all the way. They've got one coat of primer or maybe one coat of paint, but not all the way down, so it looks filthy. But I'm gonna paint all of that anyway, so not a big deal. Yeah, there's still dirt in here. It's an old boat, hasn't been thoroughly cleaned in a long time, but yeah, it's much cleaner. And as I continue to work and tear things out and improve things, I think it's gonna come along just fine. So yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna start working on the exterior, do some deck work, and yeah, just keep going. Got about a month from launch, and I will be working every day to get things ready. So yeah, let's see if I can do it.